The way that I see it is making what I call unapologetically authentic decisions, because that's the way you start creating a life that you love step by step.
Welcome, Badass Manifester. I am so glad you are here. I'm your host, Ashley Gordon, master mindset and manifestation biz coach and multiple six-figure entrepreneur obsessed with empowering you to create quantum leaps in your energy, your life, and your business. Together, we'll make magic your everyday normal, bringing you the highest vibrational content to power your conscious and subconscious mind with manifestation and mindset tools, teachings, and experts to put your potential into action. Consider this your weekly up level. Here's the quantum transformation, baby. Say it with me. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Badass Manifester podcast. And today I have a beautiful guest on. She is my friend. Her name is Denise. I never know how to say your last name. Just say it.
It's chalky, like chocolate.
Chalky. Ooh,
Yeah.
chocolate. Yes. And Denise is a certified professional coach. She's based out in San Diego, and she is most passionate about helping corporate women create and execute their exit strategy into entrepreneurship through her 3-step exit strategy method, which we're going to talk about today, and so much more. Like we were talking a little bit before about how big her mission is, and that's, I think, why I connected with Denise so deeply, because she has this really profound mission, and so do I. And so welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and talking with you.
Yes, me too. Me too. So just give us a brief overview of your kind of like journey so far of obviously you were in corporate and you made the transition out. What was that like for you, and how did you get to doing what you're doing now?
Gee, well, I've always been a nerd about personal growth my whole entire life. And ever since I was even a teenager, I remember reading a book about what your life purpose is and how to figure it out. And I just always felt like there was something inside of me that I was really good at, and that I wanted to share. And but somehow I ended up first starting out in corporate. Yes, I was living in New York at the time. I'm an East Coaster at heart, even though now I'm in San Diego. And I was working in the marketing department of a couple of different national publications. And I did that more so because it felt like the most, I guess, safe job that was still being creative. Because with marketing, there's still a little bit of an element of psychology there, and you can be creative, but it's still business related. I remember when I was younger, I used to want to be a therapist before I even knew what a coach was. And there was this moment I remember I was so excited about it. And I was with my mom in the kitchen, and she was washing dishes one day. And I shared with her, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I know what I want to be. When I grow up, I want to be a therapist. And right away, her response was like, oh, you'll never make money doing that. There are too many therapists out there already. And so it became a no for me.
Wow.
And so, yeah. And so instead, again, then I kind of settled into something that I thought I could do, that I should do, that would be acceptable and okay to my family. And I went along with my peers. They were getting jobs in corporate. So anyway, I did that. I did that for about 10 years. And it's not that I hated it. There were parts of it that I liked, but I could still feel it's like I was fine at what I did. I was fine. The job was fine. I was fine. But my favorite parts of any job I've ever had were moments when I would just be talking to one person. We'd be standing there talking about, what's happening in our lives. And then the moments when you can find some sort of clarity, a plan of action, a moment of relief. For me, that was like, oh yes, that was everything for me. And I loved it so much. And then the way that I got into coaching was I was going through a really rough breakup when I was in New York and working in these corporate jobs. And I was running into my ex on the street all the time. And I was like, I need to get out of the city. I have to get out of here. And there was a workshop up at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York.
Yeah,
Have you heard of it before?
of course.
Yeah. So, and it was with a woman named Debbie Ford, and it was called the Shadow Process. And it was a weekend long coaching workshop. This was in, I believe it was 2003.
She has that movie called The Shadow, right?
I think she's passed away now, unfortunately, which is so
Okay.
sad. But she did do a movie. I know she has
Shadow Effect, I think it's called.
it's something like that. She's done stuff with Deepak Chopra and
Yep.
Marianne Williamson, and she was one of the
Yes. Wow, that's awesome.
he's amazing. And so it just that workshop was so unbelievable that I signed up to do her coach training program. And then I was doing that program, and at the time I was a marketing director at a magazine. And I had to choose between showing up for our trade show for my real job or going to the final in-person live event that I had to go through to finish the coach training program. And my boss at the time basically said that if I don't go to the trade show, I'm going to get fired. So my life went into a different direction. I chose my job. And then, but I was really not happy. So then I ended up, my family and I started two businesses in the spa industry. So I co-owned that and ran that. And I did that for about 10 years. And
Wow.
then I turned 40, and it's just, things were going well at work, but it was just, I had turned into someone I didn't even recognize anymore. I didn't even like myself anymore. I didn't even know who I was anymore. And then when I turned 40, I was like, it just all of a sudden hit me. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm not feeling happy. I'm not fulfilled. There has to be another way. And so I'm like, it's now or never. I literally unplugged my life. I sold my house. I gave up my stake in the businesses, and I moved to San Diego because I always wanted to live somewhere warm and by the ocean. And then I dove back into my personal growth work and untangled all the stuff that was happening to me. And then realized that what I always really wanted to do was coaching. And so that's how I ended up where I am today. I went back, I got my coach certification, and have been having my business since then. It's been a little over 3 years now.
Wow, wow, wow. What a journey.
Yeah. It's been such a journey.
It always is, right? It always is. It's like we live many lives.
Oh, isn't that the
Really.
truth? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And just so you guys know, I mean, I've seen Denise in action. Her coaching is phenomenal. Like you're a badass coach, girl.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. It's really awesome. It's just, it's crazy how your whole life, like you knew that like this was your passion, and yet you were told otherwise. And so you worked against it your whole life, and now you came back to it.
It's
Wild.
it's amazing, and that's exactly what I help my clients do, because I believe that there's a part of us that kind of knows, whether we let ourselves see it or not, what it is that we really wish we could do. And a lot of times you can spot that by, for instance, if you're really jealous about what someone else is doing, and you're like, oh, they have it easy, oh, they have such a great job. When you're starting to feel jealous about something, it's kind of tapping into, there's something missing there for you. You're
Mm,
jealous of that because you want that thing, whatever that is that you see that that person has. Or, people think that they wish that they could do something. I have a friend who would love to be either a caterer or a baker, but I'm not sure that she thinks it's possible for her, and
totally.
yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
I was just going to say, one of my best friends, she works in corporate. She has this dream of being a sommelier. Like she wants to be a sommelier, and it couldn't be more different than what she's doing right now. It's like, and for her, there's a lot of fear that comes up around like, well, the how is so big, I think, in that situation. Well,
Yeah.
how am I going to change my entire life? How am I going to not get paid that very safe salary and just go and like live my dream? I can't just do that, you know?
Absolutely. And I
Mhm.
think I know, and the thing is, I've been there. That's
Yeah.
exactly how I felt. I know exactly what that's like. And I was always trying to find a way out, and I didn't know what to do. But that's exactly it. It's a lot of the work that I do. It's helping people actually. So I'll just dive right into my
Yeah.
3 step process then, since we're going there. So my exit strategy method, it's 3 steps. It's plan, design, and execute. So for plan, it's really coming back and reconnecting with yourself and getting to know yourself again. What is your vision? What are your core values? And are you operating and making decisions from that place? How do you know when your intuition's talking to you? What does that feel like in your body? And then how to trust that and
Mhm.
start making decisions from that place too. And it's all about, what the way that I see it is, making what I call unapologetically authentic decisions, because that's the way you start creating a life that you love step by step. And so first we really reconnect to ourselves, what your vision is, and then we start laying the groundwork for what would you really like to do next? What's held you back in the past from being able to do that? What kind of fears, what kind of limiting beliefs have you had stuck in your brain that have been holding you back? And what do you need? That's a big part of it too. Because we're, especially as women, and I work with women specifically, we are operating all the time trying to get all this stuff done, all the things we think we should do, and we're kind of on autopilot. And externally, things may look great, but for a lot of people internally, they feel like garbage. And so when you can fuel yourself, give yourself what it is that you need, you start giving yourself that energy that you can now start devoting to starting to figure out what it is you want to do next. And so then I'm also a business strategist. So once we kind of figure out what to do, we start laying the foundation for what it is that you'd like to create for yourself. That could be becoming an entrepreneur. That could be even like, let's say if you want to be a writer at a fashion magazine, it could even be doing that. But the key is to really start using your gifts and what it is that you really love to do. And it just changes your whole life, your relationships, the way you show up. Yeah.
Oh my God, it totally does. And
Yep.
I love that you said, even if it's not being an entrepreneur, because I know, like, I have friends, most of my best friends live in New York,
Mhm.
and they're in corporate jobs in New York. And, you know, I never knew this because I never worked in corporate ever.
Yep.
Well, for like a very brief moment, but I never knew that, like, once you're in an industry, like, it's almost like people feel like they're locked in and they can't transition out of it.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily true.
It's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not true. But yes, you're right. I used to have that belief as well. When I was in marketing, I would just keep looking for another marketing job, and it was at a different company. And I'm like, oh, this will be better. But it was
Right.
the same thing with different colleagues at a different address. It's like,
There needs to be a word for that, like this, like, illusion that the same job is going to be better at a different company.
well, it's so interesting. To your point before too, I have this one client, and she's a spa owner for she's a really successful spa in Manhattan. I don't want to say which one. And she has always loved fashion. So what she does is she started a side hustle where she's working for somebody else. They have a fashion boutique, and she's become the manager of the store on the side because what she wants to transition into is working in the fashion industry. So the thing is, there are things you can do. You can take it in baby steps. It doesn't have to be just one day you quit your job and all of a sudden you're doing something completely different. It's just an untangling and doing what feels right and good. And it's a process. And that's what we do.
Totally. Oh my God. It's awesome. It's so awesome. And I know that there's women listening to this right now who are on that side of, like, they're in their jobs and they just can't even imagine
Mhm.
how it could ever be different, or how they could, you know, get the support that they need to quit their job. And so just something I want to share quick is
Yeah.
like, you know, some of my friends look at me and they're like, well, you're so lucky because your husband was able to support you so you could build your business and live your dream. And to that point, I say to them, I used to take it personally and be like, should I feel guilty for this? Like, is there, you know what I mean? Is that a negative thing? And then I'm like, no, I actually manifested it to be
Mhm.
that way.
Yep.
I manifested that support. So that's a possibility too, is you can always create the support that you need. Right.
Totally. Totally. And
Yeah.
something else you can do is, you can transition into an interim job where,
Mhm.
as long as it's not as soul sucking and using up so much of your energy, because when you're living in a place of stress and anxiety and you're pissed off at your boss or whatever it is, it uses up so much of your energy that you could be using on other things like creating what you want. So one of the things that I do with some people is just get them out of the job that they're so miserable at into something else where they're feeling better, and then they have more energy, they're still making money. So this is just another option as
Yeah.
they're starting then to build what they want on the side, if that's what they want to do. So that's, yeah. And that's the beautiful thing. So many times we're living with blinders on and we can't see any other opportunities, but there are other things you can do, other choices you can make.
100%.
Yeah. Mhm.
So what I think is so powerful is how, you know, change can happen in a minute just by
Mhm.
you deciding that you're ready to make the change. And then obviously transition is different, right? You're transitioning out of something and into something that is obviously going to take a little bit of time.
Of course.
But I was just on the phone before this with one of my team members, and she wants to start her own coaching business. And she's like, you know what? I should have just started 2 years ago when I finished my coaching certification. And look at me, it's 2 years later and I didn't do anything about it.
Mhm.
And we have to live with that.
Mhm. Well, that's exactly it. It's when you have this desire and passion for something, that doesn't go away. I wonder anyone who's listening to this now, if what's popping up into your mind, if you
Yes.
have an idea of like, oh, that reminds me, that's how I feel about X job or Y job. And I know for me, as I shared before with my coaching journey, that never went away, my desire to do that. But for me, it was always like, no, I do marketing and I'm stuck in this. And then when I opened the spa business, no, I have this business now. And it's always getting a little closer, but it was just never it. And that, if not now, then when? I mean, really, because the question is, people think, oh, I'm too old. I'm too old to make the transition now. Do I really want to do it at this point in my life? But the thing is, are you really okay with spending another 20, 30 years not doing it?
Mm.
At some point, it catches up with you. And isn't it worth the chance to try it out and at least be able to cross it off your list if no?
Totally. We get one life, even if we get multiple lives, right? We do. We live a million times.
Right.
It never ends.
Agree with
But
that.
like, we're here now. We are here now. So let's just go for it. Let's do the thing. People will say, or I've heard someone say, like, nobody has money to hire a coach.
Mm.
Like, you don't just have money laying around and be like, that's from a coach, right? But get the support that you need to help you make this transition, because you don't have to do it alone.
Well, and you know what it is too, to your point, it's an investment in yourself. Did you pay
Yeah.
for college? Yes, you paid for college, and that was a big investment in yourself, in your future career. The coaching, it's like a personal growth investment, or really just an investment in creating a life that feels really, really good. Because imagine you're living a miserable life, you're tired, you're stressed, and how that affects even a relationship with your spouse. How much are you working out or not working out? Do you have a relationship with friends? What does your life really look like? And are you okay? How much longer can you continue to do that?
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, when you invest in something like that, it's like with starting any sort of a business. If you have an entrepreneurial mindset, to start something, you have to invest in it to get it going.
It's so
If you,
true.
it's the difference between like renting a house or renting a home. Sometimes I think about this, where you're paying the rent, but then the money goes away, because you don't get that back, versus investing in a home that you buy, because then that's accruing. If you sell the house, you'll get that back. It's payback. It's payback
Oh,
for you.
so true.
Yeah.
It's so, so, so true. Oh my gosh. Okay. So
Yeah.
after you plan, then you start to execute.
Yes. Mhm.
And I think that looks different for everybody, right?
It is. And that's the most customized part of the
Yeah.
journey. So, I have the skeleton for sure of what I ideally like to go through with people, but it's very customized for each person depending on what her situation is. Because, yeah, we all come from maybe different industries or different values, or we have different fears or blocks or whatever it is. So it's not just like a cookie cutter kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that part, the execute part for sure, is at that point working the plan and starting to manage the challenges that come up for you, which, as a side note, kind of going off on a tangent, that's the thing. When you said something that reminded me of this earlier. When you're doing something that you really love, it's like being in a canoe and going with the stream, as opposed to being in a canoe and trying to paddle upstream, which takes so much more energy and it's exhausting. Once you make that shift into doing what it is that you like to do, of course, there's still going to be challenges because that's life, but it's just, you're able to wake up in the morning and be energized and excited about what you're doing. And even the challenges, you see it as an opportunity for growth, or as something that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be, as opposed to something like, oh my gosh, I don't want to deal with this. Do I have to deal with this? And again, it affects your entire life.
It really does. Wow. I love that. It's so, so true. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. So what would you say to the woman who is like, I really want to make this change, like, but I'm so scared.
Mhm. It's natural to be scared. That doesn't mean that it's wrong and that you shouldn't do it,
Boom.
right? Because a lot of times when we're afraid of something, it's just because it's something new and we don't know what to expect. We don't know what's going to happen and how we'll be able to deal with the changes and roll with it. But in all honesty, that's why I'm such a believer in coaching as well, because you have someone there to support you, to guide you. Maybe it's someone who's been there already before, but it makes all the difference in the world to have someone in your corner, especially. And so a lot of the people who are stuck in this position are people who got into these jobs because it felt like they don't want to lose love and approval from their family and their friends, and it's acceptable for society. So when everyone else around you is working these jobs and they don't understand what you're going through, if you want to change jobs, especially if you're older or going into a new industry, it's absolutely vital to have someone who gets you, who supports you, and to guide you through that. When you have this kind of a vision or a dream, I think of it as like you have a baby and you have to protect it. It's brand new, it's fragile, you have to nurture it, and you kind of get an awareness as to who you can share what with in your life. And you have to do that for yourself to protect this dream like it was your baby so that it can grow and become stronger and stand on its own.
So good. So good. So good. So good. So just to dial it in for these ladies, what are like your 3 top tips that you can leave us with? You've dropped so many nuggets already. What are the 3 top tips that you can leave us with to say, okay, like start here? If they're wanting to start, where could they start?
So I have this, it's a freebie that I have, but it's something that anybody can do. And I really believe in this. It's just a quick morning ritual that takes 15 minutes a morning. So it's something you can do every day. And what it is, a lot of times when when we're working this kind of a job, we're so busy that I hear all the time, I don't even have enough time to lift up my head to see what my other possibilities are, what my other options are.
So
And
true.
so yeah, I think one of the first steps is reconnecting to yourself. So taking just 5 minutes to meditate. If you don't have enough time, just 5 minutes. 5 minutes to just journal about 3 points that are coming up for you about whatever you're thinking about, a challenge you have, something that you dreamt about, something, whatever. It could be anything that's coming up. Just get it on paper. And then 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. Because when you focus on some positive stuff, you're looking at what's right, not you're looking at what's wrong. And so when you can start creating this practice, you're starting to crack the door open a little bit and remember what you're excited about, who you are. And I think that starts to whet your appetite for wanting to make some sort of a change. So that's one thing that I would say. Something else, just start with 5 minutes a day. Once you start getting an idea about something you're curious about, like my dad loves cars. I don't love cars, but he could read about cars all day. I could care less about that. So my point is we all are excited about something for a reason. We don't all like the same thing. If there's something you're excited about, just learn about it. Maybe go to YouTube, watch a couple of videos, just get curious about it. And
Yes.
right? I mean, start turning your focus into that direction. This is one of the baby steps you can do. Like I said, it doesn't all have to be all at once. And maybe find some people that you know that you can talk to about it, even if it's a friend who um, is supportive of you. And just start to get the energy moving. Start to get the waters flowing in this, whatever it is you think you might want to do.
So good. So good. So
Mhm.
go do that. Do that today and tag Denise and let her know that you did that because I mean, simple things, but like totally doable. And I totally get how that could get the energy moving in a completely different direction. Cause like law of attraction, right? You guys, your thoughts are attracting more thoughts. So the more you're complaining about how you hate the reality that you're in, what do you think you're going to be attracting? But the more you stop and say, okay, what can I do differently today to start focusing more on my passions and getting even just the word curiosity is so powerful. Like that energy of being curious about something else will attract maybe someone to bring you a book, maybe someone to introduce you to a new coach, maybe someone to introduce you to this new series, right? Like things that you didn't even know were in your realm of possibility before.
And to that point, I would say if I could add one more tip, as you're doing all of these things, just stay open. Don't prejudge anything that pops into your mind. Don't let yourself start thinking, no, I can't do that because of X, Y, and Z, because that's just going to kill it, right? Just just really let it to flow. And that's why the journaling is great and all this is great. Just let it out and don't say no. Don't say no. Like, give yourself the gift of following through on these little glimpses of excitement and passion.
It's so true. Well, before I ever knew that being a coach was ever going to be my reality, I was doing a lot of different things. I was working in corporate, then I was working in the service industry, then I was working here and there and all over the place. And through it all, I'm like, I know there's a bigger purpose. I don't know what it is. And I have a tattoo. One tattoo. Did I show it to you? You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's on my hip and it says, stop. If it's the same thing, I'll freak out.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Mine doesn't say anything. Go ahead.
Okay, that's good. But it says, follow your bliss. And it's a Joseph Campbell quote, but the whole quote, which I don't have all of it on me, but it says, follow your bliss and the universe will open doors where there were only walls.
Oh my God, I love that. My favorite quote is also Joseph Campbell quote, but it's a different one.
Wow.
It's, oh gosh, it's, if you think that you can see your path laid out step by step in front of you, that's not your path. That's someone else's path that they've already walked. Because your path, you create it as you walk it, as you are walking it.
I'm in love with this interview.
So fun. I love talking to you. That's so fun.
I know. That's a beautiful quote.
But sorry, I could talk about this all day. Can you tell? Yeah. That's the thing. It's that we think that we get stuck in these jobs on these paths, like what you said before. And that's not, you have to be open to really tapping into your intuition and those messages and just being curious. And if you're curious about something, check it out, because that's the way you create a life that you love. That's such a generic term, but it's the truth.
It's so true. I mean, even last night, just being on a discovery call with someone, and she was just saying, like, I'm just like waiting for that, that sign, like, or so, she said something to that degree. And I'm like, hello, we're on this call. You had this opportunity to do this whole thing to change everything. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's waiting for that sign, but it's usually right in front of them.
I think the fact that you're looking for a sign is a sign.
Ooh.
Right? Because it's your intuition trying to nudge you, like, come on, do it. And you're like, but I don't know, I'm scared.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you that it's okay for you to follow that and let that be your sign. If you're looking for a sign, that's your sign.
Wow. So good. Thank you so much. So I know Denise mentioned her freebie. We'll put it in the show notes so you can download it and make sure that you fill out like her, I don't know what it is, but it sounds great. What is it?
It's called the 15-minute me time morning ritual.
Awesome.
And again, easy practice. So you can do it every day and just, it becomes fun and it sets you up on getting up on the right side of the bed and really being able to handle your day from a strong position, a strong, empowered place.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And where can everyone connect with you at on Instagram, social, all the things?
I'm at the Firefly Moment.
Awesome. She's at the Firefly Moment. So as you guys are listening to this, make sure you tag both of us. Let us know your biggest takeaways from this episode. And I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much. And everyone go find Denise. Woo! We did some work today because that is how we roll. Thank you so much for listening. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who you know would love it too. How can you support the show? Make sure you're subscribed, hit those 5 stars, and leave a review on iTunes and let me know how the podcast has impacted you. It truly means the world to me. I love being part of your real-time journey, so screenshot this episode and tag me on IG at Manifest with Ash. Say with me, I am my own power source. I am the master of my own energy. I deserve everything I desire. Now go get 'em.